The next topic about evolution. So, you know that when I give in the diagram, you know that the picture that represents Charles Darwin, Robert Charles Darwin, the famous evolutionist. And the known person was the one who contributed much towards the field of evolution. When he is called as father of evolution also. So Charles Darwin, Robert Charles Darwin, was the pioneer of evolution. He has given everything in the form of simple facts. You know that one just he proposed this concept in 1859. As at times, then another person, another contemporary, you know that one, that is Mendel also proposed this concept. But people were much attracted towards the Darwinian concept because he has given everything in a simple fact. Unlike that is Mendelian principles, he has given everything in the form of mathematical principles. He has given everything in the form of statistical data. People couldn't like that one. But Darwin has given a number of facts related to evolution in a simple manner, just like a story. That is why people were much attracted towards evolution than that is the Mendelian principles. Now let's go for this one, evolution. So now if you are taking any field of science, all fields of science want to just we have some facts and imaginary things one. And all are actually not having any sense at all. So nothing makes sense in the field of biology without the help of evolution. So everything is being made into sense, either physiology or biochemistry or anything else about the life. It is because of evolution, and that only gives sense to every field of biology. So with this introduction, I will pass on to evolution regarding the organic evolution. So we are talking about evolution in terms of inorganic and organic. So actually we are talking about the history of life. We are not talking about the history of matter. If it is actually the history of matter, then it's called inorganic evolution. History of matter. We are talking about the history of matter, then it's called inorganic. What we can say about what is called inorganic evolution? The development of complex matter from simple matter. The development of complex matter from simple matter, and that is called inorganic evolution. Here the development of complex organisms from simple organisms. That is why it's called as organic evolution. Simple form to complex forms. Inorganic evolution is simple inorganic matter to complex matter. Simply matter, simple matter to complex matter. Now, we are talking about here only the organic evolution, a history of life, not the history of matter. Okay. This word organic evolution was first given by Herbert Spencer. He was the first person to introduce the term about organic evolution. What do you mean evolution? So it is a branch dealing with actually the origin of life, two facts. It is dealing with the two facts. One is the origin of life. Once the life has been formed, and that life is undergoing just modifications and it becomes diversified into different forms. And that is the second aspect, diversity. A simple form has been modified and produces many different forms, and that is called diversity. So, organic evolution is a branch of science, or simply the evolution is a branch of science or a branch of biology that deals with one, the origin of life, how life came into this earth. And two, how the diversity of organisms came to be there in the past and now no evolution because of so many reasons we'll see later. So anyway, it's a field dealing with one, the origin of life and diversity among living organisms. Or for the different organisms, the different groups have been evolved from the simple organisms. Now we have different meanings for this evolution. As per the statement, you see the word evolution means change. So one form to another form. And certain organisms did not undergo any change. For example, one organism by name king crab, limbless. We are talking about this limbless as a living fossil coming under arthropoda, one animal by name limbless, commonly known as king crab. So this animal is called as a living fossil. What is a living fossil? The animal which has remained unchanged over millions of years. So when it was born, it had certain characteristics, and such characteristics are present at our present now without any change what it had in the past. Such animals are called living fossils. They have remained unchanged over millions of years. That's why we can see these animals did not or do not respond to evolution, or the organisms which refuse evolution. So whenever there is a change, only we can say evolution. Change occurs leading to the formation of a new species. But in this one limbless, no change occurred. The organism formed millions of years back, now also surviving, just like a living legend, just limitless. This is called living fossil. So that's why I am saying that one, living fossils do not respond to evolution because never change occurred. And also they are not responding to evolution. They refuse evolution, we can say. Evolution means you have certain changes in the organism leading to the formation of next species in course of time. So here there is no such things in the case of limbless, that's why it's called as living fossil, the one which refuses evolution, that do not respond, so the animal which does not respond to evolution and also actually refuse the evolutionary process. That's why here the meaning for the word evolution, change or roll out, change or roll out over a period of time. So that's the meaning for evolution. Now, so I mentioned about Darwin. According to Darwin, he has given one definition. Evolution means descent with modification. So, formation of new things because of modifications or changes. Descent with modifications. From the parents, the offsprings or the new young ones are formed. But the new young ones, actually because of changes in the environment, they underwent modifications or changes to form a new species. So there is a concept of Darwin, evolution means descent with modifications. And also we have in simple terms, evolution means unfolding, opening the actually just the mysteries of the past, opening the mysteries of the past, what happened in the past, unfolding, whatever things happen, we are just exposing, disappearing all these things. And normally, if you take one thing just, where did the living forms normally come? So living forms may have evolved from relating these simple chemicals. That is nothing but the chemical origin of life. So we too came only from the simple chemicals and there is a concept lying behind evolution. So living things may evolve from just relatively simple chemicals. This is what we call this. This is what we can see, that is simply chemical origin of life or chemical evolution. That's the most accepted one also. All life came only just the chemicals, inorganic chemicals, because of various actions, physical forces in the past during the primitive atmosphere that lead to the formation of our life and afterwards the diversification. First origin of life and then diversification. These are the two basic principles of evolution. Origin of life and diversification. Formation of different species and organisms. And the same thing, just a duplicates life. Let's skip that one. Now origin of life. So various theories have been. So first concept I mentioned at the evolution, first origin of life, then only we have the diversification. Once life came to this earth, then only we had the formation of different living organisms. That is called diversity and diversification. Now let me just actually explain something about how far life came into this earth. Different concepts proposed by different scientists, and some of the concepts ignored by the people, ignored by the evolutionists, and some of the concepts are accepted. Now we have various theories to explain. As you know, spiritual man, not atheist, as a spiritual man, as we are following actually the divine power, as we are just by the divine power. In the past, father, one priest, exposed father actually what is called theory of special creation. That means life was originated, life was created by God. So you know that the entire world was created within 7 days. So one father by name Soras, and he explained that living organisms and the earth was created mainly by the living organism, or the earth was created mainly by divine power. Then the next one, cosmozoic theory, or theory of panspermia, as proposed by Arrhenius. So it is believed that some resistant living spores were brought to this earth from some other planets, and they just developed into the first life, the living thing or the first life. And this concept is called cosmozoic theory. The resistant spores of living organisms that were brought to this earth were called as cosmozoa, resistant spores. And that is also called pansperm, the theory of cosmozoa or panspermia as proposed by Arrhenius. Then, some other theories. Theory of spontaneous generation or abiogenesis, as proposed by Aristotle, the only one person he projected his nose in all fields of science. Here also he projected his nose. Aristotle, Thales, then Plato and von Helmont. They simply believed that the living things could arise only from what we call this one a decaying and a rotting matter, just like a rotting mud, or just what example we see that one rotting straw. So the rats could arise, or the frogs could arise from the mud, the rats could arise from the wheat, that is the wheat, just a husk. So like that they propose. So formation of living thing from a non-living matter, and that is called abiogenesis. But this concept of abiogenesis was later disproved by one scientist, a French evolutionist. He is also known for immunology, just the father of immunology. So Louis Pasteur. So Louis Pasteur did many things, not only for immunology but also for this one. He disproved the concept of abiogenesis by proposing what is called biogenesis. And that concept of biogenesis was also supported by Italian evolutionists, Splandani and also Francisco Redi. Both are Italians, and then they also supported the concept of biogenesis. What is biogenesis? So the present day living forms could arise only from already existing living forms or pre-existing living forms. Life from pre-existing living organisms, not from non-living matter. This concept is called what is known as theory of biogenesis. So living organisms originated from the pre-existing living organisms and not from just non-living organisms. And for that he conducted an experiment. The name of the experiment is called swan neck flask experiment. Now here we have taken a flask, a conical flask-like structure. So in the case of this flask, the neck is drawn into a structure similar to the neck of a swan. So this is what we call this one, swan neck. And this is the flask. This is called swan neck flask. And he took a broth. That is nothing but an extract of organic fluid, a fruit juice or anything else, or the extract of meat. He introduced, actually killed the yeast. And kept this one for some time. After some time, he analyzed this broth and he found that the broth was sterile without any living organisms. No more yeast were produced. No living yeast were produced. Now what is the purpose of the swan neck? It is acting as a filter or a trap. If any microorganism tried to reach, could be trapped here. So no microorganisms could enter. This is one. So after some time, he broke this neck. Now this broth was kept open. After some time, he just observed the broth, analyzed the broth. In that broth, he observed some living microorganisms like living yeast. That means they could arise from the killing yeast, that is the meaning for that one. So the killing yeast never gave rise to the living yeast. Once the flask was kept open, microorganisms like yeast came from outside, entered into the flask and multiplied. So He tried to prove that the east came only more east, came only from already existing east outside. They entered here and multiplied, and not from the killing east. But the concept what we have said, actually what even the statement what is given. So in the first clause, no east appeared. The second clause, the east appeared from the killing east. The meaning for the word not the killed east or the killed east gave rise to the east. The east from outside entered into the broth or the sugar solution, and they multiplied and gave rise to the east one. So the lived east came only from already existing east present outside. And also it is so many in the same manner also bacteria. The bacteria, and suppose we kept first in one flask a broth without any bacterium, that is called a sterile broth, and kept it for some time and observed after some time nothing was there in that broth. Then after some time he broke that one, kept the bottle open, the flask open. After some time he just analyzed the broth. He came to know that some bacteria, or you can say many bacteria were there in that one. Where did they come from? They came only from outside, and the bacteria found in the broth came only from already existing bacteria in the atmosphere and not from the broth. So again, the broth is a non-living matter. That is why it disproved the concept of abiogenesis. So bacteria is never came from this broth or the solution of the organic solution, which is considered as what is called a dead one or a decaying one. It came only from already existing yeast or from already existing bacteria. This is what we call this one, Swannick experiment. Then, the most accepted theory of origin of life is chemical origin of life or chemical evolution. Regarding the origin of life, the most accepted theory is the chemical origin of life or chemical evolution. It was proposed first by Haeckel, but later supported strongly by two people, one from England, another one from Russia. So the person who contributed much towards the origin of life, particularly the chemical origin of life, that is Haldane of England and Panin of Russia. And these two people only gave the idea of chemical origin of life, and further supported by, experimentally proved by Urey and Miller later, and that one, the concept was gradually accepted later. Then, what is chemical origin of life? You know that one, the first form of life. Where did they come from? They would have come from mainly from the pre-existing non-living organic molecules. What are the non-living organic molecules? Maybe it is a protein or RNA, etc. So, the life could have come from the pre-existing non-living organic molecules. During their formation, while the organic, non-living organic molecules were formed, and the formation of such life, actually, before the formation of life, the life was preceded by chemical evolution. So we are getting the organic molecules later transformed into life. But during that formation, what would happen? So the life was preceded by chemical evolution. What is chemical evolution? The formation of organic molecules from inorganic constituents. So we are saying that life would have come from non-living organic molecules. Where did the organic molecules come from? These organic molecules actually came from inorganic constituents. How? By the formative action of certain physical forces available in the past in the primitive atmosphere, namely ultraviolet radiations, the electrical discharges from lightning process, the radiations from the rocks. So the UV radiations from the rocks and the electrical discharge from the lightning process all are natural ones, and they were responsible for providing energy. For every combination we need energy. Because of the presence of such energy, the inorganic simple components fuse together, combine together to form organic molecule. That's a concept. So normally the formation of life was preceded. Before that we had chemical evolution. It is nothing but normally the formation of different and diverse organic molecules from the inorganic constituents by certain forces. The forces are physical forces in the form of electrical discharge from the namely lighting process or UV radiations from the solar radiations or radiations from the rock. This is what is happening. That is nothing but a chemical evolution. So, A. Parin explained this concept of chemical evolution or chemical origin of life in his book, that is the origin of life on the earth. That is supported by just actually the Hall, supported by Hall. So, what is the conclusion what they made? So, the origin of life is by a phenomenon of abiogenesis, because the organic molecules came only from the inorganic non-living constituents. Once the first life is formed, the life is being diversified to form different organisms. This is called diversification. So the diversity of living organisms is by a process of biogenesis. So the origin of life by abiogenesis, formation of life, simple life from non-living thing. Once simple life is formed, it underwent modifications, what we call this one the diversification, and that is called the animal diversity or the plant diversity or simply the living organism diversity, and that one is only from already existing or pre-existing living organism. That is why we can say biogenesis. That is why the simple statement, the origin of life is by means of abiogenesis, and the diversity of organisms is a phenomenon of biogenesis, formation of other organisms from pre-existing. The first one, formation of life from the inorganic chemicals, and that is abiogenesis. So we have just combining both the events for the origin of life and also the formation of different types of living organisms. Origin of life by abiogenesis and the diversification is by means of biogenesis. Now, before entering into the evolution, the origin of different living organisms or origin of life, we have to know something about the origin of universe, the origin of earth, etc. And now let's look into the origin of earth and primitive atmosphere. And for that we have to know origin of universe. And two theories have been proposed mainly to explain the origin of universe that occurred nearly 15 billion years back. 15 billion years back. 15,000 million years back. One theory, that is Big Bang concept. So the universe, that is what's called Big Bang hypothesis, because of that means the earth or the universe had an explosive beginning. So the universe had an explosive beginning, and that is called normally the Big Bang theory. There is also another hypothesis, steady state hypothesis. So the universe is actually formed due to the transformation of mass to energy, energy to mass. That is called steady state hypothesis, mass to energy, energy to mass. And about the origin of Earth. So Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years back. 4.5 billion years back. Here also there are two different theories. One is called condensation theory, another one collision theory. So the condensation theory, normally because of the condensation of the various materials, the inner core, the gaseous things, leading to the formation of the hot gases, leading to the formation of Earth. Another one is called the collision theory regarding the origin of Earth. According to this collision theory, it is nothing but a broken off segment or fragment from the sun. Because of the broken off fragment from the sun, Earth was made. Then, the origin of life occurred just 500 million years after the formation of it, roughly about 4 billion years back. So, origin of the universe 15 billion, origin of Earth 4.5. The first life originated in this Earth just 4 billion years back. Now, and what is the nature of the primitive atmosphere? What was the temperature available? This is one question came in the question paper also. So the temperature was very high. It's just like a hot mass. The atmosphere was too hot. Having a temperature of 500 degrees Celsius to 600 degrees Celsius. That is about the temperature. The one which was prevalent during that time. And what was the condition of the primitive atmosphere? What was the nature of the atmosphere? The atmosphere was a reducing atmosphere, because more hydrogen were formed in that one. The temperature was very high, and also it experienced what we have the volcanic storms, and the atmosphere was reducing atmosphere because hydrogen were abundant. And there are other components formed because of the union of these elements: methane, ammonia, hydrocarbons, and also water vapor. So we have methane, the hydrocarbon, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor also formed in the primitive atmosphere. And that was the basic materials needed for the formation of first life. So what would happen to the molecule? So we have the four elements. So carbon was present as carbonic anhydride. So the element which was not present as what is called just a free state is nothing but oxygen. So oxygen was not available. It was available in the form of oxides. We have just carbonic anhydrates and also carbonic nitrates and all being present. Later the elements combine together because of high temperature to form ammonia, methane, the hydrocarbon, hydrogen, and also water vapor. So hydrogen actually combines with the oxides to form water. Hydrogen normally combines with the different oxides available to form water. So now we have methane, ammonia, water just available in the form of water vapor. And what would happen? The molecules of ammonia, the hydrocarbons like methane, the water, all these important components underwent oxidation, reduction, condensation, and polymerization. So because of the polymerization process we have received, because of the condensation process we have received somewhat larger molecules like the proteins. Later on form the carbohydrates, the fats, and nucleic acids, which are considered as the macromolecules. So all these molecules actually form only in the marine water. So first life originated only from marine water, not from fresh water, not from the terrestrial environment. The first life came only from marine water. So all reactions occurred only in the marine water, that is in sea water. So which have been normally described as what is called hot dilute soup, because it had various reactions because of high temperature. The water was also just hot enough, and where only we had various chemical reactions. Or it is also called probiotic soup. Probiotic, the one which is going to give rise to your life, that is called probiotic soup, and that was described as probiotic soup or hot dilute soup by Hallway. So don't forget, life originated only from the marine water. And all chemical reactions like reduction, oxidation, that is what we can say, that is condensation, and polymerization of the simpler molecules to form the macromolecules like carbohydrates, proteins, fats, then also the nucleic acids, all were formed only in the marine water, all mixed together thoroughly with the marine water to form a hard dilute soup, or just what is called probiotic soup. Probiotic, as it is going to give rise to a new life later, it is called probiotics. And further actually events happen, and all these events lead to the formation of life, the first life in this book. So as time is actually closing and concluding this one after this level, we can proceed further about this evolutionary process, the origin of life, in the next class. If you have any questions, you are supposed to ask such questions or post your questions there. That is in your place, and then we will chat and we will get the answer. Okay, anyway, thank you for your cooperation. Class is completed. Once again, thank you.